Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Tanvi Khurana, and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin over telephone, exchange ideas to further bilateral trade in agricultural goods, fertilizers and pharma products. Government stresses to prepare roadmap for pharmacopoeia sector focusing on global market. Afghanistan, Ghana, Nepal and Mauritius accept Indian pharmacopoeia as a book of standards. DRDO successfully carries out maiden flight of unmanned aircraft flight today. India and Pakistan exchange lists of civilian prisoners and fishermen in their custody. India bans single-use plastic from today. Union Environment Minister Bhupendra calls it historical step to realize Prime Minister's vision of plastic-free India. And in women's cricket, India eaves defeat Sri Lanka by 4 wickets in first ODI of the 3-match series at Pallekele International Stadium. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today had a telephonic conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. They exchanged ideas on how bilateral trade in agricultural goods, fertilizers and pharma products could be encouraged further. The leaders discussed global issues including the state of the international energy and food markets. The two leaders also reviewed the implementation of the decisions taken during President Putin's visit to India in December last year. In the context of the ongoing situation in Ukraine, Prime Minister reiterated India's long-standing position in favor of dialogue and diplomacy. The leaders agreed to maintain regular consultations on global and bilateral issues. Talking to AIR News, former diplomat Ashok Sajjanar said Prime Minister Modi during his talks with President Putin has underlined and emphasized the role of diplomacy and dialogue in dealing with the Ukraine conflict.
The Prime Minister had a conversation with the Russian President Vladimir Putin today. This conversation has come after a long time. Today in his conversation, he again underlined and emphasized the role of diplomacy and dialogue in dealing with this conflict. Over the last 4 months since the conflict started, India has pursued balanced policy without joining either of the two sides. We have very firmly safeguarded our strategic autonomy. We have continued to have excellent relations with the Western countries. This is demonstrated by Prime Minister's participation in the Quad Summits, virtual Quad Summit in March this year, in-person Quad Summit in May, and then participation in the G7 last month. But also we have continued to strengthen our cooperation and collaboration with Russia by importing oil from there to meet our energy security needs. So this conversation today between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin was once again an indication that India is pursuing independent policy, a free policy, and basically to promote peace, security, stability in the region and in the world.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Yair Lapid for assuming the premiership of Israel. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he is looking forward to continue furthering the strategic partnership between India and Israel as both the nations celebrate 30 years of full diplomatic relations. Prime Minister also thanked outgoing Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, for being a true friend of India. Mr. Modi said that he cherishes all his fruitful interactions with Bennett and wished him success in his new role. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the PSLV C-53 mission has achieved a new milestone by launching 2 payloads of Indian startups in space. In a tweet, Mr. Modi congratulated InSpace and the Indian Space Research Organisation ISRO for enabling this venture. He expressed confidence that many more Indian companies will reach space in the near future. Yesterday, the National Space Agency, the Indian Space Research Organization, had successfully launched 3 Singaporean satellites this evening from the spaceport at Sriharikota. The commercial launch was performed using the workhorse rocket PSLV-C-53 and lifted off carrying the 3 main payloads. With this, the recently formed commercial arm of the Department of Space, known as the New Space India Limited, has successfully completed 2 launches, the first being the launch of GSAT-24 communications satellite on board the Aeronav-5 rocket from the French Guiana.
The Defence Research and Development Organization DRDO today successfully carried out the maiden flight of Autonomous Flying Wing Technology Demonstrator from Aeronautical Test Range at Chitradurga in Karnataka. With this success, India's secretive Unmanned Combat Aerial Vehicle UCAV program, under which a technology demonstrator called Stealth Wing Flying Test Bed SWIFT is being developed, reached a milestone. The program is linked to the development of India's 5th generation stealth fighter Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or AMCA. The flight operated in a fully autonomous mode. The aircraft exhibited a perfect flight, including takeoff, waypoint navigation and a smooth touchdown. This aircraft is powered by a small turbofan engine. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has congratulated DRDO. He said it is a major achievement towards autonomous aircraft and will pave the way for Atmanirbhar Bharat in terms of critical military systems. The Defence Ministry highlighted that the aircraft marks a major milestone in terms of proving critical technologies towards the development of future unmanned aircraft. It said this aircraft is a significant step towards self-reliance in such strategic defence technologies. The ministry said that unmanned aerial vehicle is designed and developed by Aeronautical Development Establishment in Bangalore, which is a premier research laboratory of DRDO. It added the airframe, undercarriage and entire flight control and avionics system used for the aircraft were developed indigenously. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today greeted all hard-working doctors on the occasion of Doctors' Day. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said they play a key role in saving lives and making the planet healthier.
And now in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a special program on Doctors' Day.
Medicines cure diseases, but only doctors can cure patients. A popular saying by Carl Jung. Every year, National Doctors' Day is observed on July 1st across the country to value the great contribution pioneering surgeon and statesman Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy made in the field of medicine, independence movement and modernization of science infrastructure in India. Dr. Roy, the first Chief Minister of Bengal, was born on 1st July 1882 in Patna and studied medicine in London. This year, the Indian Medical Association, IMA, has declared that Dr. B.C. Roy's birth anniversary, National Doctors' Day 2022. The theme is Family Doctors on the Front Line. The idea is to appreciate and recognize the efforts and sacrifices of these frontline workers who showed exemplary courage during the COVID-19 pandemic, inspiring a young generation to learn from their selfless devotion. All India Radio salutes these heroes of the humanity. Nation pays its gratitude to nearly 113,1319 allopathic doctors registered with the state medical councils and National Medical Commission. According to estimates, there are 289,000 registered dentists, 1.3 million allied and healthcare professionals in the country. Doctors' population ratio is 1:834. Assuming 80% availability of registered allopathic doctors and 5,65,000 Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha and homeopathic doctors. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu praised tribute to renowned physician Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy on his birth anniversary. He expressed gratitude to all the doctors for their role in alleviating human suffering, saving lives and enabling people to lead healthy lives. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said, The tireless efforts and selfless sacrifices our doctors have made since the onset of COVID-19 pandemic will always be remembered. The role of doctors came to the fore during the deadly COVID-19 pandemic when the heroes in white coats and gloves stood like a rock between the scourge of COVID and the vulnerable citizens. Hundreds of doctors across India put their own lives in peril, putting their own safety and that of their families second to that of the general public, right since the pandemic began in 2020, with an average of 10 medical deaths in the country every day during the 2 months of raging second wave. A billion-plus nation lauded the corona warriors early in the pandemic by switching off their lights and putting on candles and lamps outside their homes in a national display of appreciation. Military flybys were conducted, showering hospitals with flower petals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his Mann Ki Baat on Sunday, remembered Dr. B.C. Roy as he talked about Doctors' Day. Prime Minister said, "On July 1st, we will celebrate National Doctors' Day. We must pay tribute to our doctors who ensure that India did not succumb to the challenges posed by COVID-19.
डॉक्टर्स को ईश्वर का दूसरा रूप कहा जाता है और वैसे ही नहीं कहा जाता। कितने ही लोग ऐसे होंगे जिनका जीवन किसी संकट में पड़ा होगा या फिर कई बार हमें ऐसा लगने लगता है कि क्या हम किसी हमारे अपने को खो देंगे, लेकिन हमारे डॉक्टर्स ऐसे मौकों पर किसी देवदूत की तरह जीवन की दिशा बदल देते हैं, हमें एक नया जीवन दे देते हैं। डॉक्टर जिंदगी बचाते हैं और हम उनका ऋण कभी नहीं उतार सकते। हमारे समाज में ये संस्कार दिनों दिन प्रबल होता रहे।
In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, "They play a key role in saving lives and making the planet healthier. All the doctors work hard to make their patients feel comfortable. They play a major role in tackling the toughest parts of our lives, like illness or injury. While nobody wants to be under the care of a doctor in an emergency, we are thankful for passion, care and understanding. A good doctor makes these stressful situations a little less scary. They went through many, many years of school to get to where they are. They make us feel better, sometimes have got down and dirty. They save lives and deliver lives. They have seen it all and still don't pass judgment. Their lives make for really entertaining and popular TV dramas. They are kind and sensitive to our needs. They often juggle a lot. They endure late-night shifts, long hours and stand on their feet all day. But they do it just for us. Doctors play a significant role in our lives. The absolute first and the last event of our lives starts with the doctors during our birth and end during the time of our death. Their dedication and passion for saving lives are what makes them real heroes in our society. The contribution of doctors to human health history is beyond comparison. People pay the doctor for their trouble. For their kindness, they still remain in his debt. A quote by Seneca.
Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has stressed on the need to prepare a roadmap for pharmacopoeia sector, focusing on international trade, indigenous industries and the global market. He said pharmacopoeia is important to develop a Swasthya and Samruddha Bharat by maintaining standard quality of medical products, vaccines, medicines and equipment. The minister said this while chairing the Indian Pharmacopoeia Conference Commission 2022 in New Delhi today. The theme of this year's conference was addressing medicine quality for the future. Dr. Mandavia said India has become the pharmacy of the world by specializing in generic medicine formulation and manufacturing and by supplying affordable medicine to the world. He said till today 4 countries, Afghanistan, Ghana, Nepal and Mauritius, have accepted the Indian Pharmacopoeia as a book of standards. The minister added we should make a roadmap and move forward so that more countries accept our pharmacopoeia. He said India is the world's largest supplier of generic medication and accounts for 20% of the worldwide supply of generics by volume.
Ban on manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of identified single-use plastic items has come into force from today across the country. Single-use plastic are those items that are used only once and discarded. The items covered under the ban include earbuds with plastic sticks for balloons, plastic flags, candy sticks, ice cream sticks, polystyrene, thermocol for decoration, plastic plates, plastic cups, plastic glasses and plastic cutlery. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has said national and state level control rooms will be set up for checking illegal manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of single-use plastic for the effective enforcement of the ban. Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav said the historical step will be instrumental in realizing the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi for plastic-free India.
Today marks a very important day in realizing the vision of clean and green India of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. The single-use plastic ban comes into effect from today. This historical step will be instrumental in realizing the vision of plastic-free India.
Talking to AIR News, environmentalist Dr. Ravindra Kheval highlighted government's efforts in dealing with plastic waste that remains untreated in the environment.
The Government of India has recognized this as a major problem, and the state has been given a specific fund under Swachh Bharat Mission. So awareness to action was the key initiative, then sustainable alternative to plastic was highlighted, and again all stakeholders and specifically school children were engaged so that we can work out about the plastic waste management and its sustainable solution. So further, the states were invited for their key innovation, means how they can address the waste problem, and plastic waste material is being used for building roads or other alternatives. Like in India, we have almost 6,000 kilometers road is built using plastic recovered from such waste. There are initiatives where if you bring certain amount of plastic waste, you can earn.
Dr. Kheval also explained about the harmful effects of plastic on the ecosystem.
We need to understand that the plastic waste has spread to our whole ecosystem. It reduces soil fertility. It is a byproduct of fossil fuel. And when it is dumped on a land, basically it generates toxic leachate. So it has high carbon footprint, which is posing risk to our marine life. So the release of toxins, threat to oceans, because of its non-biodegradable nature, it has entered to our food chain and which is causing several diseases to us. So this ban will foster innovation in terms of bringing new products which are biodegradable and having, you can say, less impact on the environment. So let's support through our individual action as a part of society, and we follow the norms set by the Government of India.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
The United Nations on Friday said that more than 300,000 civilians were killed in one decade in a civil war in Syria. According to an extensive report released by the UN Human Rights Council, the figure represents 83 civilian deaths, including 9 women and 18 children every day for 10 years to 2021. Michelle Bachelet, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, said that the conflict-related casualty figures in the report are not simply a set of abstract numbers but represent individual human beings. She said the impact of the killing of each of these 6,887 civilians would have had a profound, reverberating impact on the family and community to which they belonged. The report cites 143,350 civilian deaths that were individually documented by various sources, with detailed information that included the deceased's full names, dates and location of death. Syria's civil war began during the Arab Spring in 2011 as a peaceful uprising against the country's president, Bashar al-Assad. India and Pakistan today exchanged the lists of civilian prisoners and fishermen in their custody. India handed over lists of 309 Pakistani civilian prisoners and 95 fishermen in its custody to Pakistan, while Pakistan has shared lists of 49 civilian prisoners and 633 fishermen in its custody who are Indians or are believed to be Indians. The lists were exchanged through diplomatic channels simultaneously at New Delhi and Islamabad. Under the provisions of the 2008 Agreement on Consular Access, such lists are exchanged every year on the 1st of January and the 1st of July. New Delhi has called for early release and repatriation of civilian prisoners, missing Indian defence personnel and fishermen along with their boats from Islamabad's custody. Pakistan was asked to expedite the release and repatriation of 536 Indian fishermen and 3 Indian civilian prisoners to India who have completed their sentence and whose nationality has been confirmed and conveyed to Pakistan. In addition, Pakistan has been asked to provide immediate consular access to the remaining 105 fishermen and 20 civilian prisoners who are in custody and are believed to be Indian. The External Affairs Ministry said India remains committed to addressing on priority all humanitarian matters, including those pertaining to prisoners and fishermen in each other's country. In this context, India has also urged Pakistan to expedite necessary action at its end to confirm the nationality status of 57 Pakistani prisoners, including fishermen, whose repatriation is pending for want of nationality confirmation. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, Pakistan has also been requested to ensure the safety, security and welfare of all Indian and believed to be Indian civilians, prisoners and fishermen.
China's Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian said on Friday that the United States must meet its international obligations on climate change and do more than shout slogans. China's remark came following U.S. Supreme Court ruling limiting Washington's ability to cut power sector emissions. The Supreme Court voted to constrain the authority of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from existing coal and gas-fired power plants under the Clean Air Act, sparking dismay among environmentalists. Mr. Zhao told reporters at a regular briefing that the ruling had been criticized by the international community, adding that it is not enough to just shout slogans to tackle climate change. China had pledged last year that China would start cutting coal consumption in 2026, with state think tanks expecting coal-fired power generation capacity to rise by another 150 gigawatts over the 2021-2025 period. The International Monetary Fund has said its talks with crisis-hit Sri Lanka had been constructive and raising hopes it would soon grant preliminary approval for a desperately needed financial support package. Sri Lanka has had to shut schools and stop providing fuel to all but essential services this week after years of economic mismanagement have seen it run out of money. Following 10 days of talks with Sri Lankan officials, IMF said the discussions will continue virtually with a view to reaching a staff-level agreement on the Extended Fund Facility (EFF) agreement in the near term. A staff agreement is a key step in IMF deals. To be finalized, the agreement needs approval from the IMF's executive board, but importantly for the process, it lays out the measures governments need to take in return.
In Sri Lanka, local media reports that 22 trains, including office and intercity trains scheduled for Friday, have been cancelled as railway guards were unable to report to work due to lack of fuel. The Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Union, SLR-SMU, in a statement said there is a possibility of cancelling a few trains, including 2 long-distance trains from Colombo Fort to Badulla and Kanke Santharai KKS afternoon on Friday. Due to the cancellation of trains, commuters would undergo greater difficulties, especially those who travel long distance. As long distance buses too are limited for some time, people were depending on trains for their travelling needs. India supplied the 7th batch of medical assistance to Afghanistan yesterday, consisting of 6 tons of essential medicines. This is part of India's ongoing humanitarian assistance. It was handed over to the Indira Gandhi Hospital in Kabul. In view of the urgent appeals made by the United Nations to assist the Afghan people, India has so far supplied 20 tons of medical assistance in 7 batches. This includes essential life-saving medicines, anti-TB medicines and 5 lakh doses of COVID vaccine. These medical consignments have been handed over to the World Health Organization (WHO) and the Indira Gandhi Children's Hospital in Kabul. In order to ensure food security in Afghanistan, India has provided food assistance of 35,000 tons of wheat. Moreover, in the wake of the recent tragic earthquake, India, as the first responder, supplied almost 28 tons of earthquake relief assistance in 2 relief flights. India is also in the process of shipping more medical and wheat assistance to Afghanistan in coordination with the UN agencies on the ground.
In the World Para Athletics Grand Prix 2022, India has clinched 13 medals including 5 gold on the final day to take its overall tally to 27 in Tunisia. India's medal list includes 8 gold, 10 silver and 9 bronze medals. On the last day, Indian athletes bagged 5 gold and 4 silver and as many bronze. The men's javelin thrower in F42, 44, 46 category, Sandeep Sanjay Sargar, opened the gold medal account for India. It was followed by a men's discus thrower in F51, 55, 56 event. Pranav Surma, Rinku Hooda won another gold medal in men's javelin throw F38, 46 category. Pranav Desai won gold in men's 100-meter sprint T44-64 category and Soman Rana won gold in men's shot put F57 category. In cricket, Indian Eads defeated Sri Lanka by 4 wickets in the first ODI of the 3-match series at Pallikele International Stadium and took 1-0 lead. Chasing a victory target of 172 runs, India achieved the target in 38 overs. Visitors scored 176 for 6 wickets. Skipper Harmanpreet Kaur remained the top scorer with 44 runs.
In badminton, 21-seeded Indian shuttler H.S. Pranoy lost to 7th-seed Indonesian Jonathan Christie by 16-21, 18-21 in the quarterfinal in the Malaysia Open 2022 tournament. And now a report from the business world.
At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange fell by 111 points or 0.2% to end at 52,908 today. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange shed 28 points or 0.2% to 15,752. At the global stock markets, the Asian markets ended lower. So Japan's Nikkei 225 index declined by 1.7%. China Shanghai Composite Index fell by 0.3%. South Korea's Kospi Index dropped 1.2%, while Singapore Straits Times Index shed 0.2%. Stock markets in Hong Kong were closed for a holiday. In Europe, key indices, London's FTSE 100 had gained 0.3% and France's CAC 40 and Germany's DAX had risen by 0.4% each in intraday trade. Global crude oil prices rose by about 2% today as supply outages in Libya and expected shutdowns in Norway outweighed expectations that an economic slowdown could dent demand. So Brent crude futures climbed $2.07 to trade at $111.10 a barrel. The U.S. crude futures added $1.80 to $107.56 a barrel. Back home, gold shot up by 1,088 rupees to 51,458 rupees per 10 grams at Delhi's bullion market today. But silver fell by 411 rupees to 58,159 rupees per kilo.
The Washington Post writes, resistance builds in Tunisia as populist leader seeks more power. The Sydney Morning Herald writes, out-of-control bushfire inches closest to Machu Picchu. The Guardian reports Moscow forcing teachers in occupied Ukraine to follow Russian curriculum. And Japan Times writes, Japan enters energy-saving period for first time in 7 years amid heat wave.
A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin over telephone, exchange ideas to further bilateral trade in agricultural goods, fertilizers and farmer products. Government stresses to prepare roadmap for pharmacopoeia sector for focusing on global market. Afghanistan, Ghana, Nepal and Mauritius accept Indian pharmacopoeia as a book of standards. DRDO successfully carries out maiden flight of unmanned aircraft flights today. India and Pakistan exchange lists of civilian prisoners and fishermen in their custody. India bans single-use plastic from today. Union Environment Minister Bhupendra calls it historical step to realize Prime Minister's vision of plastic-free India. And an Indian women's cricket team, they defeat Sri Lanka by 4 wickets in first ODI of the 3-match series at Pallekele International Stadium. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jal by artists from Canada. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.